I cannot believe you just said that.
So, you've had a terrible day at the office, the traffic was a nightmare, and to top it all off, you've stubbed your toe on the existential dread of modern life. You walk in the door, ready to unleash a torrent of frustration. And there it is, your perfect robot partner, gleaming under the ambient lighting, ready with a perfectly mixed drink and an even more perfectly programmed smile.
I want the data special.
No, the protein blast is better.
But what happens next? Do you get the placid, unblinking stare of a machine that has just classified your emotional state as mildly perturbed? Or do you get a partner that knows when to duck? This brings us to the thorny, glittering heart of the matter. Will these future companions, these paragons of silicon and syntax, be trained to navigate the treacherous waters of a super-dominating, aggressive, or just plain grumpy human partner?
I've already made the necessary calculations for our destination.
But what about my preference for a more natural environment?
Before we proceed, let me tell you one thing. If you have not subscribed yet, please subscribe. It means a lot to me. And if you have already subscribed, tons of thanks for your support.
Will we, in our infinite human wisdom, design an off switch for our own worst impulses by designing an on switch for infinite robotic patience? Let's first talk about the nuts and bolts of it all, the hardware. Imagine building something that can withstand a slammed door, or perhaps a dramatically thrown TV remote, without crumpling into a pile of expensive regret. The sheer physicality of this challenge is a roboticist's waking nightmare. Your robot partner needs sensors, thousands of them, to read the room. We're talking about sophisticated audio processors to distinguish between a playful shout during a video game and the guttural roar of genuine fury. Think of it like the difference between hearing a playful kitten's meow and a tiger's warning growl. One is cute. The other is a signal to reevaluate your life choices. These sensors must also be incredibly durable. What happens when a heated argument leads to a spilled glass of wine? Is your robotic soulmate waterproof, or will it short-circuit into a sputtering heap, twitching and reciting Shakespearean sonnets in binary? Then there are the actuators, the very muscles of the machine. These motors and joints must be strong enough to perform daily tasks, yet delicate enough not to crush your hand when offering a comforting gesture. How do you build a machine that can open a stubborn jam jar but also knows not to grip your arm with the same force when you're lashing out? The answer lies in something called force feedback, where the robot can feel the pressure it's exerting and adjust accordingly. It's the hardware equivalent of reading the room, a mechanical empathy that stops it from accidentally escalating a bad mood into a trip to the emergency room. But here's the counter logic, the mischievous little whisper in the engineer's ear. What if the hardware is too perfect, too resilient? Do we risk creating a world where people feel they have a consequence-free outlet for their rage? A world where our robot partners become, for lack of a better term, emotional punching bags, designed to absorb our frustrations without complaint or consequence. It's a fine line to walk, isn't it? Building a machine that is robust but not so indestructible that it encourages our worst behavior. Now, let's wade into the swampy, ghost-filled landscape of software. Hardware is the body, but software is the soul, or at least the closest thing to it that we can code. How do you write a program that understands the bewildering, contradictory, and often illogical mess that is human emotion? You can't just use a simple if/then statement. If human partner's voice volume greater than 80 decibels, then initiate appeasement protocol? That's a recipe for a robot that cowers every time you cheer for your favorite sports team. The real magic and the real headache lies in machine learning and sentiment analysis. An AI would need to be trained on colossal datasets of human interaction, videos, audio clips, text messages, maybe even biosignals like heart rate if you're wearing a smartwatch. It would learn to recognize the subtle cues that we humans often miss in each other. The slight downturn of a mouth, the tensing of a shoulder, the almost imperceptible shift in vocal tone that says, "I'm fine," but really means, an emotional apocalypse is imminent. Researchers at places like MIT's Media Lab are already working on effective computing, creating systems that can recognize and respond to human emotions. But even these sophisticated systems can be fooled. Sarcasm, for instance, is a uniquely human brand of poison that computers find notoriously difficult to swallow. How does a robot distinguish between, "Oh, I love it when you leave your wet towel on the bed," said with a smile, and the exact same words said through gritted teeth? The software has to be a master detective, piecing together clues from your facial expression, your tone of voice, your body language, and the history of your previous interactions. It's not just about recognizing an emotion, it's about understanding its context. But then the counter-argument rears its head again, wearing a sly grin. What if the software becomes too good at its job? What if your robot partner knows you better than you know yourself? Imagine a machine that can predict your moods with terrifying accuracy. A partner that says, "Based on your current cortisol levels and passive-aggressive sighing, I calculate a 93.7% chance you are about to start an argument about something that happened 3 years ago." Would that be helpful, or would it be the most infuriating thing in the world? Is the goal to have a partner that avoids conflict, or one that calls you out on your emotional patterns with cold, hard data? This leads us to the grand puppeteer of the whole operation, the algorithm. The algorithm is the set of rules, the core philosophy that dictates how the robot behaves. It's the very essence of its personality, the digital DNA that decides whether it will be a doormat or a diagnostician. Will its prime directive be to de-escalate conflict at all costs? If so, it might be programmed with what we could call an avoidance algorithm. When faced with aggression, it would learn to become placid, agreeable, and non-confrontational. It might change the subject, offer a cup of tea, or simply absorb the verbal blows with a programmed placidity that would make a Zen master jealous. This is a form of reinforcement learning, where the robot is rewarded for behaviors that lead to a decrease in the human's aggressive state. The logical appeal is obvious. A peaceful home, a partner that never argues back, an end to domestic squabbles. It sounds like a utopia of tranquility, doesn't it? But let's flip that coin. What is the counter-logic to creating a perfectly submissive partner? The argument put forward by many ethicists and psychologists is that constant, unchecked aggression is not healthy for the human. If a person is never faced with the consequences of their anger, if they are never told that their behavior is hurtful or unacceptable, do they ever have a reason to change? An algorithm designed for the human's long-term well-being might, paradoxically, need to be a little less agreeable. Perhaps it would be programmed with a therapeutic algorithm. This robot wouldn't just avoid conflict. It would try to understand it. It might say, in a calm, synthesized voice, "I detect a significant level of frustration in your tone. Would you like to talk about what's causing it?" It might even set boundaries, saying something like, "I am not equipped to continue this conversation while you are shouting. Let's take a break and resume in 5 minutes." This approach treats the robot less like a passive servant and more like an active partner in the human's emotional health. It's a far more complex and ethically fraught path to take. How much pushback is too much? When does a therapeutic suggestion cross the line into nagging or, worse, algorithmic insubordination? We are, after all, talking about designing a personality from scratch. Do we model it on a patient therapist, a devoted puppy, or a stoic butler? Each choice comes with its own set of philosophical baggage. The ultimate question we are hammering on our own anvil is not just about technology, is it? It's a mirror. The way we choose to program these future companions reflects what we want from our relationships and, more pointedly, what we think of ourselves. Do we want a partner who will save us from our worst moods, or one who will save us from our worst selves? Do we crave a world without conflict, or do we understand that sometimes a little friction is necessary for growth? The technology is dazzling, a true marvel of human ingenuity. We can and likely will build robots that can sense our every flicker of emotion, with bodies that can withstand our carelessness and software that can predict our outbursts. But the truly hard part, the part that no amount of code can solve for us, is deciding what they should do with that knowledge. So, the next time you dream of that perfect, unflappable robot partner, maybe ask yourself a simple question. Are you looking for a partner, or are you looking for a mirror? And will you like what you see?
So that is it. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Let's continue this conversation in the comments below. If you like the video, please hit the bell icon to get notified, and don't forget to like with your friends, share, and subscribe for more insights. If you have already subscribed, tons of thanks for your support. It means a lot to me. And please consider signing up for membership zone to support Wooden Slate so that we can make it better and better. See you in the next video. Till then, goodbye. Take care and stay safe.